History doesn't mourn the man who chose wrong, it forgets him. No parades, no eulogies, just silence as he fades into the graveyard of his own potential. And it never starts with betrayal. It starts with beauty, with soft smiles and sweet lies, whispered by a woman he mistook for peace. By the time he realizes he's not in love, he's under siege. And Machiavelli, he didn't write for lovers, he wrote for rulers. Men who knew the wrong woman doesn't ruin you loudly. She burns your kingdom from the inside out. No one warns you, not your mother, not your friends. In society, it profits from your blindness. They'll sell you a dream, loyalty, love, ride or die, but what they won't sell you is discernment. The truth? Most men don't fall because they're weak. They fall because they invite the wrong woman through the gates and call it fate, not knowing she's holding the match. You think you chose her, but she was chosen by your lack of standards, and while you were waiting for love, she was calculating leverage. You didn't get played. You played yourself. Because you never asked the only question that matters. Does she build my kingdom or set it on fire when no one's watching? Niccolo Machiavelli wasn't writing for romantics. He was writing for rulers. And rulers do not choose based on charm. They choose based on consequence. He said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are." And most men, they live through the eye, blinded by curves, seduced by smiles, hypnotized by softness. But the wise man sees with the soul. He watches not when she's performing, but when she thinks no one is watching. Because illusion is easy to fake, discipline is not. Machiavelli knew the trap. Beauty is the enemy of discernment for the man without self-control. That's why rulers study patterns, not her perfume, her principles, not her giggle, her grit. Not what she says when she wants something, but how she moves when she thinks you bring nothing. The world tells you to chase butterflies. Machiavelli told you to study serpents, because destruction rarely enters like a storm. It enters like a soft whisper, disguised as understanding, empathy, love. But the moment she tries to control your vision, you're no longer her man, you're her hostage. A ruler guards the gates of his kingdom. He doesn't let emotion dress up his opportunity. He doesn't negotiate with sabotage and stilettos, because when you let the wrong woman in, she won't kill your fire directly. She'll smother it with comfort. And you'll call it peace. But what it really is surrender. There are only two types of women: beneficial or destructive. That's it. No gray area. No, she's figuring it out. No, it's complicated. She either multiplies your mission or quietly drains your fire, drop by drop. And the most dangerous kind isn't the one who shouts. It's the one who smiles while she sabotages. She'll call your ambition too much, laugh at your discipline, encourage you to rest when it's time to rise. She won't take your crown. She'll convince you to lay it down, all while whispering, "I just want you to be happy." But Machiavelli warned, he who seeks to deceive will always find someone willing to be deceived. That's you. You didn't get tricked, you got lazy with your gatekeeping. Because she looked good, because she sounded sweet, because you wanted peace more than you wanted truth. Here's the truth. A destructive woman doesn't need to cheat to ruin you. She just needs to shift your focus from your mission to her moods, from your purpose to her praise. And once your compass points to her approval, you are no longer a man. You're a mirror, reflecting back whatever she needs to see to keep you controlled. But the wise man, he watches her behavior, not her beauty. He asks, does she bring order or chaos into my world? Not just when things are good, but when life tests her. Because any woman can play supportive when the sun is shining, but only a beneficial woman will guard your fire when the storm hits. She doesn't need to be perfect, but she must be aligned. aligned with your code, your vision, your kingdom. Because if she's not building with you, make no mistake, she's breaking you. She doesn't need to scream to be dangerous. All she has to do is disrespect your direction with a smile. A woman who challenges your leadership not with wisdom but with ego is not your equal. She's your competitor. And once competition enters love, loyalty dies. Machiavelli warned, "It is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But you've been taught the opposite, to soften your edge, to apologize for having standards, to treat your woman like your superior and call it compromise. You think you can fix it with love. You can't. Because the moment she sees your spine bend, even a little, she loses something she'll never tell you about. You become negotiable. She'll test your boundaries, not to be cruel but to find your foundation. And if you fold, she'll own you. She'll stay, but not as your partner, as your handler. And one day, when you're bent beyond recognition, she'll whisper, "You've changed." "No, brother, you collapsed." And she watched it happen. A real woman doesn't want to lead you. She wants to follow a man who can't be moved by moods, guilt, or seduction. So let me make it simple. If she mocks your strength, walk. If she resents your standards, leave. If she tries to match your masculinity, she's not your queen. She's a coup in heels. Anyone can be sweet when the music's loud. The real test? Silence. Stillness. Real life. Watch what she becomes when the thrill fades, when the gifts stop, when your attention isn't on tap. Does she create peace or ignite chaos just to feel something? Machiavelli taught rulers to fear unpredictable forces, not because they were loud, but because they were undisciplined. And an undisciplined woman, she will burn your empire just to feel alive. She'll call it spontaneity. You'll call it chemistry, but really, it's sabotage. She'll stir up arguments over nothing, disrupt your focus with drama, then cry when you pull away, not because she's sorry, but because she's losing control. The right woman creates calm. The wrong one manufactures storms, then demands you fix the damage. So here's your test. Can she sit with stillness? Can she find beauty in the ordinary? Or does she need chaos to remind herself she exists? A woman who can't handle quiet will eventually destroy everything that gives you peace. Not in one blow, but in waves. Small, subtle, endless waves that wear down your mind, your mission, your edge. She won't kill your purpose with hate. She'll do it with boredom and call it love. They told you it doesn't matter, that you're insecure if you care, that asking about her history is toxic. But Machiavelli would laugh in your face because he knew one thing modern men have forgotten. Her past is your future. If she betrayed the last man, she's not starting over with you. She's perfecting the method. A pattern ignored becomes a future guaranteed. She says she's different now, but the past isn't just what she's done. It's what she normalized, what she tolerated, what she repeatedly chose. If her trail is littered with chaos, don't expect calm when she walks into your life. You're not her savior. You're not her fresh start. You're just the next chapter. Unless you draw the line. She doesn't need your sympathy. She needs your standards. Because a woman with no accountability will wear your patience like a leash and drag your soul through dysfunction disguised as healing. Look beyond her words. Study her wake. What has she left behind? Drama? Betrayal? Men who look like they've seen ghosts? That's not bad luck. That's a blueprint. The lie is this: it's not fair to judge her by the past. But the truth? If you don't, you're choosing blindness. And blind men build futures with women who were never meant to stay. You weren't born to orbit a woman. You were born to build a legacy. But somewhere along the line, they convinced you otherwise. They sold you the lie that she is the mission, that your highest purpose is to love her, please her, keep her. But Machiavelli would shake his head. He knew a man who makes a woman his center becomes a man with no spine. Lust is loud, legacy is quiet, and most men choose the noise. They chase curves instead of calling, attention instead of alignment. But here's the test. If she mocks your discipline, if she rolls her eyes at your ambition, if she calls your vision controlling, she's not your muse, she's your assassin. You don't need a woman who wants you. You need one who respects your path, one who can sit beside your silence and still feel secure. Machiavelli didn't write for men who need validation. He wrote for rulers. And a ruler doesn't chase softness, he recruits strategy. If she lives for dopamine, if she worships the spotlight, if she thrives in drama, she will never survive the slow grind of your mission. When the thrill fades, when the work gets lonely, when your grind demands full focus, she won't rise. She'll rebel, and not because she's evil, but because she was never built for your direction. So stop asking, is she loyal? Start asking, can she follow a man who bows to nothing but his purpose? Because if she doesn't honor the road you walk, she will trip you on it. Not in anger, in instinct. Because a woman with no mission of her own will always try to control yours. Remember, the wrong woman doesn't just slow you down, she reprograms your compass. And one day you'll wake up and realize you're not even walking your path anymore. You're walking hers. You didn't lose her. You lost you. The wrong woman will make you soft, and you won't even notice. She'll call it love. She'll call it care. But what she's really doing is dulling your blade. It starts small. You skip the gym. You lower your standards. You let little things slide because you don't want conflict. And slowly, your edge is gone. Not stolen, surrendered. But the real woman, the beneficial woman, she doesn't just tolerate your fire. She fuels it. She's not intimidated by your ambition. She's inspired by it. She doesn't want you soft. She wants you sharp. Because deep down she knows a man on purpose can protect, provide, and lead. Machiavelli understood something psychology is only now catching up to. Respect is rooted in fear, not fear of harm, but fear of consequence. Fear of losing you. Because if a woman feels like she can break your frame and you'll stay, she will stop respecting it. And once respect dies, love turns into leverage. She starts to negotiate your discipline. She'll test your boundaries, cry through your rules, seduce her way around your standards, and if you cave, she wins and you lose everything. Not because she's cruel, but because you proved you don't stand for anything. And women, they don't follow men who bend. They follow men who anchor. So here's the real game. If she doesn't fear losing you, she'll start reshaping you. If she can disrespect your code and still keep your presence, she'll assume she owns you. And when a woman owns you, she stops desiring you. But the one who sharpens your edge, she watches you rise. She admires your focus. She doesn't beg you to be soft. She dares you to stay sharp. And that's not resistance. That's alignment. That's the kind of woman a ruler builds with. Because she doesn't just survive in your fire, she reflects it. If she doesn't fear losing you, she'll never value you. That's the law no one dares to say out loud, because it shatters the fantasy. But Machiavelli didn't write for comfort. He wrote for clarity. And here's the truth. What costs nothing is worth nothing. You think showing her unconditional love will win her loyalty, but it won't. It only tells her one thing. He'll stay, no matter what I do. And once she knows you won't leave, she stops trying to keep you. She stops respecting the consequences. Because when she believes she owns your presence, she starts testing your spine, not to hurt you, but to see if anything real is holding you up. And if all she finds is desperation wrapped in devotion, the spell is broken. She may stay, but not as your woman. She stays as your handler. Here's what Machiavelli would say today: the man who fears losing a woman is already owned by her, but the man who fears losing his purpose owns the world. Your fear of walking away, that's not love. That's slavery. She must know, deep down, that your presence is earned, not guaranteed. That you don't tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone. A woman who believes you'll always be there regardless of how she treats you will test that belief. Not once, not twice, over and over and over. And every time you stay after she crosses the line, she doesn't feel safe. She feels superior because you've taught her something fatal. He's afraid of losing me. I'm in control now. But when a woman knows, truly knows, that your standards are immovable, that your boundaries are not up for debate, that you will walk, she levels up. Not because you scared her into submission, but because you reminded her of your value. And when a woman fears losing something valuable, she protects it. She nurtures it. She rises to meet it. So stop apologizing for your edge. Stop rewarding disrespect with more attention. Stop negotiating with behavior that should have been a goodbye. Because here's the truth: the man who cannot walk away will never be followed. A king does not beg. A king does not explain. A king does not fear losing a woman. He fears losing himself. Every woman acts right when you're watching. The real test is what she becomes when you're not. Machiavelli taught rulers to fortify their cities, not when enemies were attacking, but before. You're the fortress. And the woman in your life, she's either reinforcing your walls or quietly stealing bricks when your back is turned. That's why absence isn't a punishment, it's a mirror. Step back and watch. Does she hold the line when you're not feeding her ego? Does she protect what you've built, or drift toward distraction, validation, or destruction the second your eyes leave her? This is the moment most men avoid, because they're afraid of what they'll see. And that fear, it keeps them loyal to a fantasy, loyal to the woman she pretends to be instead of the woman she is. You think she's faithful because she tells you so, but you've never tested her loyalty in silence. And here's the hard truth: if she can't thrive in your absence, she's not built for your presence. The woman who only behaves under supervision isn't your partner. She's an actress. Loyalty doesn't live in her words. It lives in her discipline. A woman with a solid core doesn't unravel the moment the spotlight fades. She protects your name when you're not around. She guards your peace when no reward is attached. She doesn't need to be policed, because her values lead her when you're gone. But the wrong woman, she thrives on attention, and when yours disappears, she looks for it elsewhere. She doesn't betray you with rage, she betrays you with indifference, with passive disloyalty, with a hunger for energy that doesn't belong to her. That's why your absence is the final law. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to reveal. Because if she can't carry your standard without your presence, she was never strong enough to walk beside you in the first place. So disappear, watch, and let the truth speak. Louder than her promises ever did. Every downfall began with a decision, not the loud, obvious ones, but the quiet compromises. The moment you silenced your gut and called it love. Machiavelli didn't write for boys. He wrote for rulers, men who understand. Your life isn't ruined by women. It's ruined by the man you become to keep the wrong one. You don't rise by luck. You rise by standard. Ruthless, unwavering, unapologetic standard. The wrong woman doesn't just waste your time, she rewrites your destiny. And if you keep waiting for signs, for peace to magically return, you're not choosing love, you're choosing your own slow collapse. This isn't about hate, it's about clarity, about remembering who you are before you were conditioned to bend. You were not made to orbit her moods. You were made to build kingdoms. And the woman beside you, she either fortifies the walls or opens the gates. There is no neutral. There is no harmless. She is either sharpening your sword or dulling your edge with every excuse you let slide. So ask yourself now, is she aligned with your mission or attached to your sacrifice? Because at the end of it all, the man who fears losing a woman is ruled by her. But the man who fears losing himself, he rules everything. If this hit you deeper than just words, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it with a man who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Inner Alchemy. Because we don't build men with comfort, we build them with truth. And truth is the sharpest weapon you'll ever own.